Hey guys, welcome to Yo Soy Cultura, a timeless series dedicated to getting to know our Los Angeles Latin dancing and all of the wonderful people that created it. I'm your host, Marisol Galeano, and today we're going to talk a little bit about who I am so we can get to know each other and take this journey together. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how Yo Soy Cultura came to be, what the purpose of the series is, and what I hope we can all achieve with this project. Before I start, I just want to say thank you so much for chiming in. This is a super special project for me, and I hope you enjoy it. This episode is going to be a little lengthy, so get your water, get your wine, get your chela, get your coffee, and get comfortable. And without further ado, let's start. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Marisol, but you can call me Sol like the sun in Spanish. And actually, I would prefer if you call me Sol because if you call me Marisol, I feel like me está regañando, like I'm in trouble. So please call me Sol. I was born and raised in LA, but my parents are from Cali, Colombia. I started dancing in 2014, so I've been dancing for 10 years. I started dancing when I was 18, fresh out of high school. And the only reason I started dancing in the LA dancing was because my older sister, she dragged me to a bachata team audition. And that team happened to be Que Rico Dance Company. I know. That was a long time ago. But yeah. So I've danced with Que Rico Dance Company, a company who was owned by Jorge Contreras, the father of many of today's dancers and leaders, and the co-owner of the Los Angeles Bachata Festival. This is a team that taught me everything that I know about bachata. I was trained by Que Rico, more specifically Jorge and Aubrey, to dance and teach bachata. I was actually Aubrey's first student. As she trained and learned how to dance bachata, she also trained and taught me how to dance bachata. I also taught with Que Rico at the world famous Steven's Steakhouse alongside Jorge, Aubrey, Demetrio, and Miguel. I was also a director and was given the opportunity to teach, travel, and perform with them as well. Aside from Que Rico, I was also in Omambo and Omambo Ladies with Omar and Amelia. This is a team that taught me everything I know about salsa on two. While being part of this company, I was given the opportunity to compete and win with the Omambo Ladies Pro-Am team in Guadalajara, Mexico, with the iconic all-black malagueña routine. This is a routine that has been danced by many talented dancers such as Ashley Magana, Melissa Mitro, Grace Baeza, Katie Rosas, Melanie Mercedes, and even Tania Canarza. To this day, I feel so lucky to have been part of this project and routine that has inspired so many people literally around the world. So thank you so much, Amelia. I love you so much. You are so talented. And yeah, those are the two teams that built my foundation in the Latin dance scene. But I've also been part of other teams such as EMGC. I got to paint their beautiful logo mural, so go check that out whenever you have a chance. AMD and Entourage. Aside from that, I also taught at the Granada LA and I co-directed the Bachata Granada team with the homie Hector Llamas. And this is an opportunity that came to me when the Bachata Queen, Kathy Reyes, was making her move to the Bay Area. They were looking for someone to fill her position as she was making her transition. And I was very fortunate to be that person. And luckily, I also got to learn a lot from Kathy before she moved. So thank you so much, Kathy. Aside from dancing, I also worked with Audax Entertainment. I was a creative director and co-organizer for the first two All-Star Saturday events. And last but not least, I also make costumes for champions, which sounds so awesome to say. I've worked with really talented and amazing people, and together we've created amazing costumes. And that's basically the gist of it. Nowadays, I mostly dedicate myself to training, taking class, and social dancing. Will I ever be back on stage? Most definitely. And hopefully, most or all of you, I plan on dancing until I'm old and crusty. So, how did Yo Soy Cultura come to be? Well, for starters, one of the big reasons is due to my genuine love for different cultures. Living in LA, I got to see, learn, and be part of a lot of different cultures, like many of us, from ethnic cultures to religions to food to fine art and the performing arts. And what really amplified this passion of mine was studying anthropology. As I was joining the Latin dance scene, I was also taking a lot of anthropology courses. And what is anthropology? Anthropology is a scientific study of human culture in totality. So you explore the complexity of human beings, including lifestyles, evolution, and the impact of past and present. It's funny because what got me to take this class in college was the title. It was like witchcraft, magic, and religion. I literally thought that I was going to go to Hogwarts. I was like, that's it. This is magic. I'm going to Hogwarts. I'm a Harry Potter fan. Let's fucking do it. But this led me to something that I was ultimately super passionate about. Which brings me to the main reason that I decided to start this podcast. Our scene has changed. It has changed a lot over the years. And of course, change is inevitable and change is always good, right? But if I'm being honest, it just isn't the same anymore in a way where I feel that we're losing a lot of the important factors that cement this community and make it so special. Social dancing, performances, and events just don't quite feel the same anymore. When you go social dancing, there's little to no dance etiquette, no basics, no musicality, no connection, and a whole lack of humility. And that's not our scene, you know? So I've been thinking about this a lot because I have always loved social dancing. And for me, social dancing before was way more enjoyable and just a completely different experience. It felt more memorable, more fun, more welcoming, and more intimate. And not intimate in a sensual sense, but in a way where I, the follow, had to let go and feel the lead and the music. And at the same time, the lead also had to be aware enough to feel the experience the follow had solely off of a basic and a simple turn. There was raw human connection. And whether either was a beginner or advanced dancer, there was no judgment. There was trust and a strong respect for boundary, even though people left no room for Jesus, as we said, when they danced together. Today, when I go out social dancing, a lot of people just try to show off. There's a huge sense of cockiness, even. People try to do all the fancy things and they ignore the basics. They do all the rolls, all the turns, all the dips, but there's no actual connection. And I love all the turns and rolls and dips. But if someone asks me to dance, I want to dance with that person and to the music. I don't want to feel like I'm dancing by myself and I'm being used by the lead to show off. If you ask any follow, whether beginner, intermediate, or pro, the best dances are always the ones where you just groove, connect, and feel the music, no matter how basic or fancy they are. I look around now and I just see people fighting for attention, popularity, and status. And, you know, recently, I ran into one of the people that taught me how to social dance at Steven's Steakhouse. His name is Felipe. He taught me connection with a dollar bill. And I don't have a dollar bill, but I do have this piece of paper, right? So he folded the dollar bill just like this, and he put it between our palms, And no matter what we did, whether it was a term, basic, whatever, we couldn't let that dollar bill fall. So he was teaching me connection. It's something that I learned 10 years ago, and we talked about this. And he said that the reason that he taught me that was, of course, to teach me connection, but that there was an even deeper meaning to connection, that our hands held a lot of power. And he gave me the example of how you comfort someone in distress. So, how do you comfort someone in distress? You either put your hands on their shoulder or you give them a hug, right? And then he even beautifully tied in religion and said that Jesus used his hands to heal, that he used that dollar bill not just to teach me how to dance, but to teach me about human connection, about really letting go and really connecting with the human that I was dancing with, which just left me like, oh my God, like, I love that, like, this man taught me this 10 years ago. But if I would have not had the conversation with him, I would have never known his thought process and why he approached teaching me so like graciously, right? So like in a welcoming manner. And to contrast all of this, like one of the first interactions that I had with the lead, for example, after COVID, was, a lead asking me to social dance and then immediately teaching me to dance, which isn't, a big deal. It's fine. But they did it in a very condescending and just like mean manner. And this was even before I even tried to like do a basic. And, in that moment, I just thought like, well, one, why did you ask me to social dance? And two, thank God I'm not a beginner, or else that would have discouraged me so bad. And that's the thing, like that's the reason for Yo Soy Cultura. I don't want anyone else to go through an experience like that because it's something that can greatly impact you and intimidate you from like dancing. And then we move on to another subject. We have the fight of bachata versus salsa, or bachata sensual versus traditional, salsa on one versus two. And it's like, why are we all against each other? I really understand liking a certain dance style, but we're dancers. We should dance everything. We should be able to respect, learn, and adapt to different styles. That includes the subcategories of salsa and bachata. A song by Anthony Santos should not be danced the same as a song by JR. Dancing on two does not make you better than someone that dances on one, especially here in LA. LA, that once was the salsa capital, where the infamous LA salsa style on one was created. Our LA dancing is so diverse, so vibrant, so full of flavor. It's what makes our social dancing scene so different and so special and so captivating. And that's worldwide. It's our roots. So, where is it all going? Where has the sense of community gone? And then we move over to performances. Performances, unfortunately, are very rarely unique anymore. I feel like a lot of people just try to copy other people or other teams, whatever they see as popular, instead of finding their own personal and unique style. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to everyone because, we do have people that keep true to their essence, but I think the dynamic in performance has changed a lot in more recent times. It used to be so inspiring and exciting to watch performances. I remember going to my first Congress, which happened to be the Reno Latin Dance Fest, and watching performances and being so awe-inspired. I remember watching Yamule performing Volare, Majesty in Motion from San Diego performing a Shines routine to Tito's theme, Grizzly Dance Company performing their iconic Malevo routine, Ataque la Alemana y El Tigre performing their Romeo Santos tribute. And who can forget Alma Latina Tijuana performing their iconic Te Regalo una Rosa routine? I remember getting teary eyed because it was that moment that made me realize that I wanted to be like those dancers. It was that moment that I told myself that I was going to commit to training to be like them. The performances were all so different, and the performers were all so skilled and passionate. Whether beginner, intermediate, or professional, the caliber was amazing. But then we fast forward to today, and I just feel like it's not the same. The art of choreography and performance just isn't there like it used to be. Aside from performances, we also have the subject of people teaching without the experience or proper guidance and training to do so. And I get that we all start somewhere. I sure as hell know I did. When I started teaching, I was learning to dance bachata. That's how I learned to dance bachata, by teaching. But I had the proper guidance, two different professionals teaching me intensively how to dance bachata, and they never let me forget that I needed to keep training and cross training. Teaching was not an excuse for me to stop learning. It didn't stop me from making sure I continued to train under the best of the best and from different people to make sure I kept growing. And in doing so, I also learned that even those who are the best of the best never stop training. Because that's what dance is. It's an ever evolving art form, not a status. Art takes time. You can't learn it in a day, and you never stop learning. I feel like a lot of people for the past few years have been trying to teach to reach some sort of status and popularity. And since they start dancing for the wrong reason, once they reach that height of teaching, they stop training and learning, which is such a disservice to yourself and everyone that you're teaching, because teaching is such a big responsibility. If you teach and perform, you should have a solid foundation. You need to keep training to solidify your technique. You should know how to do a basic, and you should have the musicality and ability to social dance. Why? Because Latin dancing comes from the street. We make it prettier and learnable by adding a structure and technique to it, but you'll never actually learn or be able to teach the true essence of a style if you can't social dance and immerse yourself in the community. This is where we get the sabor from. So, where did LA's unique essence go? All this frustration led me into asking, why? Why? How did we get here? What am I not seeing? And what can we do? For a while, I've been thinking about the why. Like, why does everything feel so upside down? Why do I see people not give our community the respect it deserves? Why do I see people not respecting the leaders that came before us? Why are people so cocky, even though they lack cultural and technical foundation? And thankfully, it hasn't only been me. I've had a lot of conversations with fellow social dancers and performers along the years that have seen the transition and feel the same way. So I started thinking back on my personal journey, the people that came before me, and I put myself in the shoes of modern era dancers so I could better understand how their experience might differ from dancers who came before them, like me. So, for starters, when I started dancing, I learned from and was surrounded by a lot of the people that created our dance scene. They would instill the importance of culture and history, and they would share the stories with us and tell us who our leaders are and were. When I was in Carrico, I was being taught by the person that gave birth to so many of the teams and leaders that our scene has or had. We learned about Jorge and his history and his partnerships with other really important people to our scene, like Leslie Ferreira, Alien Ramirez, or Serena Cuevas. Isaac and Silva, who were also directors in Carrico, were also very passionate in teaching us culture and history. When I decided to start my journey in salsa, My very first salsa class was a 4-hour workshop with the master and legend, Eddie Torres, alongside Maria Torres, Shani Talmor, and Celine Tovar. A class that was filled with legends themselves and where they share their own history as they taught. As I continued my endeavor with salsa, I joined Omambo, where Omar and Amelia made sure to instill cultural and historical respect for almost every single move they taught us. Literally. And that was because they wanted to do things with the utmost respect. They taught us to do it in the same way. They brought the best of the best from around the world to teach the whole company, and they learned beside us. One of the things that had such a huge impact on me and I've carried to this day was when they brought the master and salsa historian Tito Ortos to give the company a lecture on the history of salsa. And he in detail taught us about the development of the 5 major styles of salsa. His lecture touched on topics of roots of slavery, to the Palladium, to the jazz influences, and the Nicholas brothers. I cried like a crazy lady because I was just so inspired and moved. So, in reflecting, I realized that these are teams that don't exist anymore, as well as opportunities that not everyone can easily come across. I was really lucky to have experience learning from such legends, and not only did they teach me how to dance, but they taught me how to love and respect our culture. And in addition to this, I realized that there's also a huge disconnect between the 3 generations: the old generation, the middle generation, and the new generation. And this is something that is so important to bridge so that we can keep our LA scene alive. So I'm going to quickly break the generations down and mention a few key topics that we can hopefully learn about while meeting all of these wonderful individuals as we interview them. So starting with the older generation. The older generation, for one, was almost completely salsa based and very traditional. Bachata was barely entering the scene and it was mostly traditional. When our dancing started, it had a lot of ballroom roots, which is a very huge factor. This is a generation that built the floor we all dance on, that created the dreams and aspiration for all of us to follow. They did all the hard work and they used all their original and innovative ideas to create the foundation we all still use to be able to dance salsa and bachata. From world famous competitions at the Mayan to packed competitions at Steven's Steakhouse to winning competitions at the World Latin Dance Cup. They created dance styles that became world famous, like the Vasquez brothers did in creating LA style salsa on one. Tu Paso de Oro with Alejandro Rey and Bachata Caliente by Leslie Ferreira and partner Jorge Contreras, giving birth to all of the teams that gave birth to the leaders in our scene today. There are people you don't even realize were dancing and competing at this time that still grace us with their talent and presence, like Santiago Aguilar, aka DJ Sonic, or Vince Torres, aka DJ Invincible. And we can't forget the beautiful and fierce women like Jo Quiñones, Liz Lira, and Kathy Reyes. And this is just to name a few. Oh wait, and did I mention that our dancers and the Latin dancing made it onto MTV? Yeah, you heard right. The older generation all created, lived, and witnessed the glorious and groundbreaking moments in our LA dancing. And now we move to the middle child. So the middle generation was a 50-50 divide between salsa and bachata. Salsa dancers were mostly the OG dancers, and bachata dancers were mostly the new generation at the time that was attracted to a more intimate and easy dance style, which at the time was urban bachata or bachata moderna, which gave way to revolutionizing bachata in LA. And this is honestly where the divide starts to happen, because naturally the older generation preferred a more traditional take on dance, while the younger generation at the time ran to different fusions being introduced. This is the era that I call the golden era, because even though People were incorporating styles such as contemporary, jazz, tango, hip hop, and kizomba. There was still a strong traditional foundation and therefore an ability to respectively fuse these styles without completely changing them. During this time, everyone social danced, and whether you were on a team or not, you had a great sense of musicality and foundation. Aside from that, teams would join forces and bring their whole team out to social dance alongside other teams, which created an amazing sense of community. Social dancing was steamy, packed with flavor, and we were stuck to each other like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was so much fun. Everyone danced with everyone, professionals included. They were out there social dancing every Sunday at Steven's Steakhouse, and it was amazing. And to finish, most importantly, we were still surrounded by all the greats, all the OG instructors, organizers, and teams, and we got to learn from them and witness what they created. Amazing teams like Que Rico Dance Company, who taught everyone how to social dance at Stevens and created the Que Rico style. Grizzly Dance Company, who had the most fierce dancers. Rhythmic Fusion with the talented Mike Zuniga, who we still have and love today. Paso de Oro with the talented Alejandro Rey. Latin Rhapsody, a hip hop bachata fusion team by Ruben Ochoa. MG Dance Company. Do I even have to explain why they're so talented? Evo and Shawnee. Los Anormales by Rodrigo Cortazar and Celine Tovar. Omambo and Omambo Ladies by Omar and Amelia. Alma Bachata LA, and who can forget Diva Chata, the most fierce women in our scene, all in one team. These were only a few teams that I got to name, but they were all part of the original generation or product of. The middle child lived through part of the glory, saw the leaders, heard the tales, and lived through the golden era of traditional infusion. And now we move to the new generation. The new generation, I feel, had a huge, unexpected jump in the cultural timeline due to the exit of a lot of OG instructors that either stopped dancing or are teaching in other cities, states, or countries, followed by the impact of social media and bachata exploding worldwide, and lastly, COVID. All of the factors have caused a big cultural gap. There have been so many changes and transitions that our scene has gone through, and throughout all of these changes, it's kept growing, making it harder for incoming dancers to grasp what our community is truly about. Today, there are amazing teams that are out there, and we still have a lot of the OGs that we can learn from and that deserve to be noticed and respected. And of course, it's super important to note and mention that we do have a lot of upcoming talent with so much passion and potential. But that bridge that shifted our culture hasn't allowed for the new generation that came up in this time and those after to learn as easily about the resources that are out there and how to find them. I feel like today's generation isn't getting the full experience that a lot of us got, which is honestly so brutal to know and witness, because I would love for everyone to get to experience what we got to experience or even more. So what is the purpose of Yo Soy Cultura, and what do I hope to achieve with this project? The purpose of Yo Soy Cultura is to spark a cultural reset in our LA dance scene. We've grown so much, and growth is amazing, but we need a strong foundation to keep going. Getting to know our leaders and their history is just a small, tiny step towards conserving our culture and making sure our rich LA scene stays alive, and of course, towards becoming even better dancers. It's a small step towards gaining your respect for the foundational and fundamental to make way for learning new fusions and subgenres. I hope that this project inspires all of us to keep pursuing our love for dance. My goal is to obtain perspectives and insights from each of these leaders that can take us back and inspire us. Hopefully, after meeting all of these wonderful leaders and getting to know their history, we'll know who or what way to look when wanting to build and develop our foundation. I hope this project provides a platform where everyone can learn together, whether a beginner or whether a veteran, so that together we thrive and grow. This is for all of us, so that next time we perform in front of that crowd and under those lights, we stand confident and proud. And so next time we got social dancing after a long and stressful day, we can truly immerse ourselves in the music, dance, culture, and most importantly, our community. There are two more things that I want to mention and would love for you guys to see. First, there's a video on YouTube taken by Edwin Lemus of the legendary Johnny Vasquez giving a speech about our Latin dance scene that I just think is so important for all of us to see. So let me insert a little clip.
Pero yo, después de 10 años, Johnny Vasquez is coming back to LA. I mean, para mí era mucha presión. They told me if I want to close the shows, no? I said, no, put me in half. Yo tengo la misma pasión, el mismo sentimiento por el baile. Cuando yo dejé Los Ángeles, mucha gente, chicos, bailaban sin competición. Ahora que regreso, veo que hay mucha competencia. It's so many competition. Y ¿saben una cosa? Eso no está bien. Porque la salsa, sinceramente, yo se los digo de verdad, la salsa, la bachata, el baile, el mundo latino, no es para deshacer amigos. O sea, no se trata, yo les voy a decir una cosa, yo conozco mucha gente que antes, Johnny, y ahora que han hecho un show en la tarima, no me saludan. Miran así. ¿Tú sabes qué feo es eso? Y saben una cosa, esto se lo voy a decir yo de verdad. Nosotros no podemos dejar que esto se muera. Tenemos que apoyar. La bachata está de moda y es un ritmo perfecto. La salsa en el 2, la salsa en el 1, lo que sea. Basta de decir, si bailas al 1 no bailas en tiempo, si bailas en... Chicos, no. Nosotros bailamos. Yo les bailo la misma figura, la misma canción en el 1, como se las puedo bailar en el 2. Lo mismo que hice, con el mismo sabor y con la misma actitud. Quien dice que se baila así mejor, que se baila así mejor, que esto, ¿saben una cosa? Todo depende de ustedes. Hay que respetar. Yo siempre he respetado a todo el mundo. Pero cuando se llega también a un límite, lo tengo que decir. Y yo lo tenía que decir, esto es mi casa. ¿Ok? Entonces, hay muchos talentos nuevos, hay que respetarlos, bienvenidos sean. Pero también tienen que aprender que todo lo que se construyó en el pasado tuvo un proceso. Que mucha gente eso no lo entiende, porque nosotros no teníamos internet, nosotros no íbamos a YouTube, no había, nosotros creábamos, nosotros nos poníamos y tú metes la pierna para allá y tú. Ahora es todo bien fácil, pero ¿saben una cosa? No perdamos los pies de la tierra. La humildad viene primero que el talento.
I'm going to link that down below. Please go watch it. And there's a second video that inspired me 7 years ago that still inspires me to this day. There's a commercial dancer called Jessica Castro that talks about the fire that we need for dance, that I think just ties so perfectly with why we need to learn about our culture. It's how we get our fire and how we stay inspired. Let me insert a little clip.
They come to pay and see you feel. Yes? They don't come to see something pretty. People that come to see dancers, artists, singers, it's because there's something about them that they want to take with them. All your pain, your joy, your laughter, your
please go watch it. And that basically wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed the introduction episode of Yo Soy Cultura and it gave you food for thought. I'm so excited and thank you so much for listening and joining me. Now that I've introduced this project, I can finally start interviewing all of our amazing leaders. So stay tuned. Follow Yo Soy Cultura on social media for more. The links are posted down below. So until next time, my name is Marisol Galeano y Yo Soy Cultura. What the fuck?